So today we're going to be making a nice crusty rustic Italian bread. There's the ingredient list, but don't worry because I'll throw it in the description below. So we're going to start with the Biga, which is a pre-ferment, and we're going to add 3 grams of yeast and 2.5 grams of sugar to 100 milliliters of warm water. And we're just going to let that yeast bloom, and once the yeast is ready, we're going to pour in 100 grams of flour. So we'll mix that until it's combined. We're going to cover and proof it in a cold oven with the light on until it's doubled. Now, it's going to take about an hour. So while we're waiting for the Biga to rise, we're going to put together the dry ingredients. So it's 325 grams of bread flour, 75 grams of wheat flour, 2.5 grams of table sugar, and 14 grams of kosher salt. So we're going to give that a quick stir. Just kind of mix it up a little bit. So now the Biga is ready. And we're going to mix in 260 milliliters of warm water. Again, I throw it in the microwave for about maybe just 30 seconds just to kind of take the chill off it a little bit. So now it's time to take your Biga water mixture and add it to the flour and other dry ingredients. You want to make sure it's well combined, so don't be afraid to really get in there. It's a good idea just to kind of scrape down the sides a little bit. So now we're just going to cover the mixture and set it to the side for about 30 minutes so it can auto-lees. So after 30 minutes, we're going to perform our first stretch and fold, and we're going to do this every 30 minutes until 4 stretch and folds are completed. If you notice, I have a little bowl of water next to me just to kind of dip my fingers in. That helps prevent the dough from sticking to the hands so much. So we're going to cover it up. We're going to set the timer. Whoop, got away from me. Set the timer for 30 minutes. Place it in a cold oven with the light on. And there she is. 30 minutes later, we're going to come back and do our second set of stretch and folds. So you're basically just doing the same thing you did the first time. Set your timer for another 30 minutes, and we'll come back for our third set. So while that's waiting, you can take your container that you're going to proof it in and give it a little quick spray with olive oil, or I'm using avocado oil here. So now you can see that the texture's changed a lot. The dough looks a lot softer. It definitely has some gluten development going on. So I think that's enough. We're going to throw it in and proof it. So this one only needed 3 stretch and folds. You kind of got to feel it out for yourself and, see where you're at. I'm marking the container because we're going to bulk ferment to about 50% of its size. Because we're using yeast and not a sourdough, it's going to rise a lot faster than it normally would. So I'm going to start preheating my oven now. I'm going to set the temperature to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the dough rises to about 50%, I'm going to start doing the preform and let it rest for about 20 minutes. So I started with the bench scraper to help fold the dough over itself for its initial preform. I do prefer using my hands to help create that extra surface tension. So all I'm doing is slightly pushing the dough out and then kind of rolling it under itself, and I form a nice little ball. After resting for about 15-20 minutes, I normally sprinkle the top just with a little bit of rice flour to help prevent it from sticking. Now it's ready for its final forming. As you see, I lightly stretch the dough out. I don't want to take all the air out of it, but I do want to degas it a little bit. So now I'm going to take the corners and fold them into themselves, flip it over, and roll that final shape. So I take some rice flour and throw it into the broad form, or banneton, whatever you call it. Flip that dough over, plop it right in. While the dough's settling into its form, let me show you how to make an easy paper lift. That'll help get you in and out of that Dutch oven just a little bit easier. So first of all, get yourself a good pair of scissors, not like the ones I have. So we're just folding that paper in half. Easier said than done. There we go. And fold it in half again. Just even it out a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut halfway up and flip it over and go halfway up the other side. I probably could have went a little further, but you know, what are you going to do? There we go. And just throw it down on the floor. Open it up. And there you go. So now we're going to take some rice flour and throw some rice flour on what is essentially the bottom of your bread. So if you don't have a peel, what I do is I just throw that over, put my hand on it, do a quick flip, and voila. There we go. You want to take your lame or knife and just give it a quick score over the top. You want to hold it kind of at a, I don't want to say a 45-degree angle. I don't know what kind of angle. Maybe 30 degrees. That sounds good. Now it's time to bake. Just place the dough into that Dutch oven. And we're going to throw the top on and let it go. Now you're just going to set your timer for 40 minutes. Once that 40 minutes is up, take the lid off. Give it a little spin and throw it back in for about another 10 to 20 minutes. At this point, we're only baking for color. Here we go. Your final product. Look at that. Beautiful.